Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about one of the key area or key capability which is into the topic of software licensing and license types in Microsoft 365 as well as SaaS platforms, right? So overall understanding what are the different types of licenses available and what type of those, how we can go ahead and utilize those as well. So basis on that, it is going to be use and provided as well, right? So to use any of those licenses, we must know what are those licenses, how those works, what are available options for us, right? And what are the different ways as well, right? When it comes to trying to save a cost, when it is depending on the usage of licenses, right? And now we are in an era where we are looking after the usage as well as cost effectiveness as well as the complete capacities that each license as well as capabilities those are provided by the license or that respective service, be it a SaaS based or cloud based or any other way, right? So let me share my screen and I'll walk you through those options. What are those and how those would be helpful for anyone, right? So this is not something to only for those people who are into tech, but anyone who wanted to learn and explore and uh, get knowledge on different licensing. So you can see that I mentioned license types in Microsoft 365 and SaaS platforms. So it is applicable across both side, and in some cases it is also applicable into the hybrid scenario as well, wherein we would be using or seeing BYOL, which is bring your own licensing capability, right? So let's dive in. The first is perpetual license plan or licensing, right? And you might have seen and export or used it before as well, right? So the perpetual license is something one-time purchase when we are purchasing it, and that's going to be owned by us as a consumer or a user, right? And it is going to be used forever until and unless we are not really maybe discarding or not using it, but we get the 100% ownership on it. And it also has a support and updates may require extra cost. Why that is? Because that is something on a particular as well as on a permanent basis, right? So whatever is available in that particular license plan, only that is going to be available. But when it comes to support and everything, it might not give us, and depending on the organization and service that they are offering. For example, in Office 365 or Office 2019 and 2021, those are or were the perpetual licenses before, and even many companies might use that. But since cloud or Microsoft 365 has provided all other Office applications, it is not being used in many organizations, right? And similarly on the SaaS, perpetual license is not being used with the SaaS, but some vendors still offer a lifetime access in limited capacity or limited capability in when it comes to the feature sets and service offerings. So this was the one which is a perpetual license. The second is subscription license, right? What is it? So it is based on the pay as you go or on demand kind of licensing capacity, right? So based on you either pay for monthly or yearly, and whatever is being used, it is going to be providing or you would be billed for that particular period, be it monthly, quarterly, or yearly, right? For example, Microsoft 365 licenses, be it E3 or E5 or business standard or any one. Again, it depends on the duration, monthly or yearly. And on the SaaS, comparatively, it is going to be the same, but it is on the SaaS level. Like if you can see that Salesforce, Zoom, and Google Workspace, those are the SaaS platforms, but those are also providing the licenses, right? So each license has a particular cost, and depending on its duration, or we can say the capacity that we wanted to use it for, maybe a month period, we will use it for month and we will pay the monthly billing or for yearly as well. So this is a subscription based licensing. You can see that, right? And can be utilized as well. The next is premium license. So what is it? So premium licensing is something which is a basic tier licensing with a limited capacity and features, which does not have advanced features. And if in case we wanted to get advanced capabilities, then that's going to be paid one, right? And this premium license can be utilized and could be good for many companies or organizations, right? Something like startups or small teams who wanted to just start and try and use, and probably they would simply decide whether to go ahead with them or they don't wanted to use it. For example, Teams free, right? So we have Teams free license that can be utilized with any consumer identity. And if in case we wanted to expand or maybe go on to the organization level, we can simply purchase with the basic plan or maybe kind of enterprise one. And similarly, on the SaaS tools or SaaS applications like Slack, Trello, and Dropbox, they will also have a particular period of free license capacity, something like maybe 30 days or 15 days, and that can be used for the requirements, something like maybe we just wanted to sign up for trial and usage and see how that works. And based on that, we can decide. So that's the premium licensing. The next is consumer or consumption based licensing. So what is it? Is it actually a pay as you go only? But this is going to be something when you wanted to use a capacity, and this capacity is in context of cloud computing majorly, right? Now, for example, in Azure, pay as you go or AWS, right? So whatever the computing power or capacity that you are going to use, be it computing power capacity, storage, or API calls, it is going to charge you on basis of that only, right? So let's say we have used a storage capacity of 50 TB, right? So basis on that, it is going to cost us 50 TB is going to be a lot of data and storage space that we have utilized, and basis on that, it is going to charge us, right? And if it is even 1 MB, it is also going to calculate the cost for that particular storage capacity and for that particular duration for how long that storage capacity was utilized, and then it is going to cost you there, right? So that's how it is going to be. It is also be very great and easy for scaling the workloads and flexible for payments and all other options whenever we wanted to scale up and scale down, or probably we just wanted to discard, because until and unless we are not going to use or we are using it, then only pay for that. Otherwise, you are going to simply discard it, and that's not going to be a cost, right? So that's going to be kind of consumption based with a pay as you go or kind of on demand capacity or licensing. Similarly, on the SaaS based AWS, Lambda, Trello, and Snowflake, even these are the different platforms, those are also providing a kind of consumption based licensing with their respective services, right? So let's look at the next one, which is concurrent user licensing. So what does this mean is that we have a pool of licenses which are shared among simultaneous users or beta devices or something like that, and those would be consumed by the different users or different accounts, and those are not tied with any individual user accounts, right? Something like Windows RDS CALs, right? And you really won't see the similar mechanism or concurrent license capacities in the SaaS based platforms or platforms, right? Those are not really available, but there might be, and there are some tools available. I have mentioned some analytics tools still use that, because analytics tools are something they do have a lot of operations to do when it comes to do the analytics and data modelization, data modernization, data visualization, ETL kind of jobs, right? And that is why it needs that capacity, and that is why those are the different tools available and provided. So those are the ones which provides concurrent user licensing. The next is device-based licensing, right? So which are tied with the devices and multiple users can access it, right? So what this mean is that there is single one user or single device, and that single device can be accessed and used by multiple users in order to do their job, perform certain activities, something like schools or labs or factories, right? And those are the scenarios where device-based licensing comes in, right? So let's say we have something in the school or maybe a lab, and those are the systems where we wanted to provide the licensing, and the same lab or device is going to be used by the different teams or different people. And that is why instead of focusing on user base, we or the organizations would face focus on device base, right? So if one device is going to be used by the 10 people or 10 users, simply it needs only one license, and same device can be used by many people, right? So it's going to be fulfilling their job requirements and the purpose of that as well. So for example, a legacy office per device license, it was something on a per device based, and in SaaS based, you won't see that capacity, because in SaaS it is something like a per device or per user basis, and that is why it is not really been charging, or in the SaaS based it is not going to be the appropriate as well in many cases, right? And that is why SaaS does not have the kind of per device based. And also that depends on many scenarios, something like if there's a SaaS platform which works on the device basis, then they would have something similar like that, right? So this is on the device based licensing. The next is user based. For example, named user license. That means we are assigning a license to per user, which is usable on multiple devices. So same license would be utilized on multiple devices, and same user can access the different workloads, different applications, which is based on identity and common in SaaS. So this is in common, right? Many SaaS platforms are providing this capability, and that's available. For example, Microsoft 365, E3, E5, and in the SaaS, Salesforce, Google Workspace, and many other like Slack as well, right? So they do provide all of that capability licensing, and that's been used and available across. So this comes under the modern licensing and capacities and capabilities in the SaaS one. The next one is enterprise agreement, which is also called as volume licensing, right? So bulk licensing for enterprises is majorly focused by those organizations, the companies which are larger and bigger one in nature, when it is also affordable on a discounted rates, flexible terms, and they can also decide whether to they wanted to use it for a particular period or they don't want to use, and they can simply maybe a discard of maybe 50% of licensing when they are not using it, right? So that's the flexibility in that capacity. And the same is into the SaaS based, including Zoom Enterprise or AWS Enterprise contracts or something like that. So there are different scenarios as well when it comes to enterprise agreement and volume licensing. The next is BYOL, which is bring your own license, right? So what is it? This is something when we procure or purchase the SQL or licenses basically for on-premises workloads, and then same licensing capacities would be utilized with the cloud platforms, right? So the simple example is Azure Hybrid Benefits with SQL Server and all other database requirements and licensing, right? So they do provide bring your own license capacities that we can simply bring on to the cloud platform and use it, because cloud platform is something which has a different pricing and everything together, but until and unless we have appropriate licensing, we can bring those and use it. So it's going to be under the hybrid benefits where we can simply use it, right? And it is also applicable in some cases with the SaaS based solutions like Oracle license on AWS RDS, right? So Oracle is going to provide their licensing or their service on the AWS cloud, right? So this is something which is also provided in many scenarios. Next is open source licensing, where it is free to use and is available for modify, distribute, and it's a community driven and flexible for everyone. That means it is not chargeable, and many open source licensing or platforms are available in some cases for charge as well. So those are being charged basis on the capacities and services and features and whatever the capacity they are providing additionally, which is not there in the free to use plan or free to use licensing, right? And similarly on the SaaS one as well, but SaaS platforms are those, and those are scaled or enterprise scale platforms. That means those are not of open source in many cases, but there are few open source plans or open source licenses as well as platforms. Those are providing freely available or free to use. The next one is a real world scenario. Now you might say, okay, what are the real world scenarios and how it is determined by which level of organization should use what, right? Now, I would say it depends on each organization as well as it depends on what is the capacity that each organization is looking, as each organization and company is unique and different in nature and in business as well, right? For example, if it is a startup, they are going to probably use a premium SaaS based solutions, and gradually they might upgrade their SaaS based systems or solutions as they grow, right? They don't really have a lot of money or funding to spend on, and that is why they are not trying to upgrade their systems, right? On the enterprise level, it's going to be opposite to that, right? It is going to be something like they would have highly scalable license plans, including enterprise agreement or maybe pay as you go, right? Because those are the well established organizations. They do have a lot of funding and a lot of capacities to expand their capacities and requirements, and they would be ready to spend a lot of money. Similarly, on the hybrid and the companies which are trying to save cost, right? So there are really the three categories of organizations, including startups, which are a small, as well as the organizations which are at the medium scale organization, and the enterprises, one which are the larger companies, right? So they do have a lot of capacities and everything. So they would definitely be procuring a lot of systems, applications, and licensing and everything together, right? At the same time, they would also look for an options to how we can bring our hybrid investments to our current subscription, be it perpetual or Microsoft 365 or any other SaaS based solutions, right? And would also look for bringing their BYOL along with cost saving opportunities in that area. So that is how it is going to be, and they would look for that as well. And there are some key takeaways. What are those, right? So I have mentioned few here, but there are many things, and as I mentioned, there are different plans available. So each plan has its own uh, capacities, including advantages, disadvantages, and whether we should go with premium or perpetual or SaaS based or pay as you go or kind of consumption based, right? So it depends on each organization whether it is perpetual license. Those are kind of moving out of SaaS based systems or solutions. Those are not available. Or many SaaS solutions or SaaS solution providers, they are not relying and going with that capacity. The subscription and usage based are dominating modern platforms. They are simply moving to the capacities like be it SaaS based, but they do also wanted to modernize their platform on the licensing and usage basis. And then enterprise is going to be mixed model for flexibility and cost savings, as I mentioned in the previous last slide, right? And then M365, which is almost capacity with enterprise and mixed model as well as flexible with cost saving opportunities, except it does not understand or it does not fall under the perpetual capacity as it is not available or they do not have the perpetual capacity yet, or for now at least, right? But before it was with Office 2019 and Office 2021, right? So that is how it is going to be. These are the few takeaways I mentioned, but hope you understand, hope you learn something new out of this one. And it would be good if you can put your comments, any thoughts that anything you wanted to know and ask, right? And I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. Hope you like it. Hope you learned something new. Please don't hesitate to like this video, share it to your friends, people around you, and subscribe to the channel as well so that you get to see every new video whenever it is uploaded on the channel, right? So, yeah, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.